All right, today we're diving into a situation that's, well, it's right on a knife's edge. We're talking about the standoff between the US and Iran. This is a story of warships and words, where diplomatic signals get all tangled up with military threats. And what's happening inside Iran itself, that's spilling out onto the world stage. So, let's break it down.
So, to really understand the pressure from the outside, we've got to start by looking inside Iran's borders. You know, behind all the big headlines about this global standoff, there's a really brutal internal situation unfolding. And the human cost? It's staggering. Honestly, it sets the stage for everything else that's happening.
30,000. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's the reported number of people killed in the crackdown on protesters inside Iran. I mean, it's an absolutely staggering figure. Some reports are even calling it a massacre.
But, okay, this is where the picture starts to get really murky. While you have these external reports citing that huge 30,000 figure, the Iranian government's official number, it's just 3,000. Now that massive gap, we're talking a difference of 27,000 people. That's not just some statistical error. It's a huge sign of the information war that's right at the heart of this whole crisis. I mean, think about it. When a government controls the media, and it's almost impossible to get independent verification, it just shows you how incredibly hard it is to know what's really happening on the ground.
So you've got this intense pressure cooker situation inside Iran, and that's the backdrop for everything happening on the international stage. So now, let's flip over to the American side of this equation, and what you'll find there is a really dangerous set of mixed signals. It's like, on one hand, the US is talking all about diplomacy, but on the other hand, it's very clearly getting ready for a fight.
And that diplomatic message, it was coming right from the top. At the time, President Trump was on the record saying Iran wanted to make a deal. He was claiming they had called many times and were, ready to talk. So if you were just listening to the White House, it really seemed like that diplomatic channel was wide open.
But, and this is a huge but, at the exact same time, what the U.S. was doing told a completely different story. You had the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group sailing right into CENTCOM waters. That's basically the U.S. military's turf in the Middle East. This was a major show of force. And it wasn't just that. It was backed up by new weapons shipments to allies in the region, like Jordan and Qatar. So you see the problem, right? The words were saying, let's talk, but the actions on the ground were screaming, get ready.
Okay, so you've got a U.S. aircraft carrier steaming into the region. You've got these completely mixed messages coming out of Washington. So how did Iran respond to all this? Well, their official response was simple: defiance.
So what was the official line coming out of Tehran?
Well, a spokesperson for the Iranian Foreign Ministry was crystal clear. They basically said, look, the arrival of a certain warship won't shake Iran's will or determination to defend the country in full force. They really emphasized that they have the experience and the ability to defend themselves. I mean, it was a totally clear, defiant message sent right back at the United States. They were signaling that, nope, military pressure isn't going to be what forces them to the negotiating table.
So here's where we are. We've got military posturing. We've got these defiant words flying back and forth. It's tense. But right in the middle of all that tension, U.S. officials made sure to keep one possibility on the table.
Yeah, despite the warships, despite all the tough talk, and even with that awful internal crackdown going on, the official message coming from the U.S. was this: the diplomatic window is still open. And that's such a key phrase, right? It suggests that even when things were at their absolute most tense, the door for talks, it hadn't been completely slammed shut. Not yet anyway.
And really, that's where things are left. You have two powerful nations trading threats, moving warships around like chess pieces. And the whole situation is just balanced on a razor's edge. It leaves you with the big question, right? What happens next? Is it going to be talks? Is it going to be threats? Or are we just going to see them continue this incredibly dangerous dance? Somewhere in between?